I remember playing the original Assassin's Creed on the Xbox 360. I don't know if I want to call it retro gaming or not, but it's kind of getting up there because that's at least 2 generations behind now. There were a lot of things I liked about the original Assassin's Creed. The story, the characters. I loved Desmond, I loved Altair. I wasn't expecting the twist at the end, but I also was a young kid at the time, and the 360 was my first real console. I loved the parkour and the way the movement system worked, aside from the fact that going into water means you die instantly. However, I accepted it as one of the limitations of the game. Before we go on any further, I've just passed 1,850 subscribers, and I'm nearing 2,000. If you could help me out with that, that'd be really nice. To be totally open and transparent here, I kind of want to bitch about the series in general, because everything after 4 just like slowly, gradually deteriorated. A lot of people didn't like 3. I don't know why they didn't like 3. I've played 1, 3, and 4, and a couple others. But mainly I remember 1, 3, and 4 the most. And for good reason. They all had good, engaging stories. One nice little fun fact about Assassin's Creed 1 is that Altair's voice actor, the director of the game, wanted his accent to stay the same, which is why he sounds the way he does and everybody else sounds different, because the director loved his American accent. It is pretty lovable if you ask me. While you could make some arguments that they just really go off the plot with the later games, and it just keeps going and going and going and going, yeah, it does, but they need to make new entries and sell them somehow, right? That's not to say I like it, because I don't. They used to do shit differently, you know what I mean? At least in the older games, they would go from the past to the future. You could do things in both sections, and they managed to keep it fresh and interesting. From a totally unbiased perspective, having these new games with their different time periods, like different little things, different themes, that's great. That's a great idea from afar, right? But their execution of it is totally throwing me off. I don't like the RPG thing that they've started to lean into. I don't know why they've started to do that. It's fucking stupid. It doesn't fit. People buy this shit. It's almost like Call of Duty, man. People buy it and they enable the company to keep doing stupid fucking shit every release. Because what they should understand is, if people aren't buying our game, then we seriously fucked up. But guess what? People buy their game, so they continue doing it. That's the reason why stories are going to start fucking sucking. The gameplay remains the same with maybe a few core changes. You know, there's no innovation, there's no development. They're just throwing out the same fucking shit every year. I will say this though, the whole like boss battles thing that started popping up, it's interesting, okay? I don't mind it. It's not even really a bad idea, but there's so much just absolute shit sprinkled in that it's not even worth it, man. I don't want to make this anything more than it's not. You know, for example, I'm not going to talk about Japan shitting on shadows at every opportunity, okay? They are, right? That's, you know, you can't really ignore that, but I just want this to be about the series in general. It used to be great, and it's not even from a nostalgic sense, because I just played fucking not Black Flag, I think it was Rogue. But the point is, I recently played one of the older entries in the game for the first time, and it showed me the glaring differences between old and new. Sure, the graphical fidelity wasn't the great. Actually, no, that's a fucking lie. That is a bold-faced lie, because even from the very beginning, back in 2007, it looked great. It might not have had everything that newer games have. It might not be open world. There might not be a million NPCs. You know, there's not like a fucking million pixels per inch of grass. Like, stupid, crazy stuff like that. But they looked great. They felt great. They played okay. The only thing, I'll tell you this, actually. The combat does feel a little repetitive. Whenever you're fighting enemies in Assassin's Creed, they always, like, if there's a group of them, you should be immediately fucked, and you're not. I know it's like a main character thing, but even still, when there's a group of them, like 5, 10, whatever, they all attack you almost one by one. And that's something they've never really changed. So you can just easily disperse fucking any amount of group like it's nothing. I know they're supposed to be like untrained soldiers compared to you, an assassin, but with numbers like that, you should have a little bit of struggle. There should be some difficulty there. Or at the very least, they should all attack more than one at a time, because it doesn't feel like anything whenever they do that. They might as well line up. You know what I mean? Like a single file line, and do it that way. People love to talk about Ezio and Revelations. I never really got into it that deep, but still, that was a good part of the series too. And guess what? We're not getting any of that either, right? I understand from a business marketing perspective, you have to release something new. You have to do something new every time you release a new. You can't release the same fucking thing, right? So, but there's different ways that you can do it and not have it fucking suck. I just don't know what the hang up is, man. The major malfunction on this. You're a multi-million-dollar company. Probably billions, I don't even know, dude. And you're just making shit. It astounds me, man, it really does. The day we get a remaster, or maybe even a remake, actually, they might fuck up a remake. If they made a faithful remake or remaster on any of the original 4, or any just the earlier ones before they did this RPG shit, people would be all over it. And it's not even a joke, man. The old school gamers that started like leaving Assassin's Creed once it became fucking RPG-ish, you would have the old crowd back. And I'm sure there's a lot of gamers that would come back if that was the case. Like, a good 60-70% of the time whenever I hear anybody talking about Assassin's Creed, it's about fucking Ezio. Nobody really gave a fuck about Altair. Or Connor. I see Connor mentioned a little bit, not really. It's kind of sad to think about it, actually. If you think about it, Ezio is the pyramid head of fucking Assassin's Creed. You know what I mean? But I don't want to get off track here. With Tencent taking a stake in the company, I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of changes, whether that's intended or not, because they're not just going to buy into it for no reason, even if it's on paper that they're just doing it to support the company or whatever the fuck bullshit reason they're saying. It's not going to actually be like that. They've already taken an interest in Ubisoft, right? Or, well, I think that's the company, yeah. And so they said, hey, you know what? We're going to give you money so that your company continues on, right? Because obviously, whatever the fuck you're doing is not working. Whenever you need another company to prop you up, that means you're not doing good. And I wonder why. Think about it from just like a normal perspective, okay? Imagine I know somebody who loves the most recent Assassin's Creeds would have never made it this far, but say they do, for shits and giggles, man. Why do you think Tencent would invest in Ubisoft? Maybe because they saw the value of a good company. Maybe because they see it as an opportunity. Maybe they want to take over the company entirely. There's lots of different reasons, you know? And you probably can't boil it down to just one. Is it good? Is it bad? Nobody really knows. If you ask me, it's probably bad. In the short term, it does help them. In the long term, yeah, it's probably not great. But regardless, it's already happened, right? I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens in the months and years to come, you know? Shadows just released, so we're gonna see how it continues to develop. If they make a sequel to it, or not a, you know, like another entry in the series, or what's gonna happen, you know? Because they release them every few years, right? Is it every few years or every year? I can't really remember. And at this point, in all honesty, I don't really give a fuck, actually. It's become something like just passing trivia to me, like something to stimulate a conversation. Not really anything truly of interest. If Ubisoft went down, or Assassin's Creed was just like dropped, they sold the IP or some shit, or they just straight up fucking forgot it entirely, and we never got Assassin's Creed ever again. Yeah, man, I'd be pretty sad. I'd be pretty bummed out. I just don't think how we're doing shit is just not how we should be doing shit, you know? I know that's not the most eloquent phrase, but it's the best way I can put it.